main screen, and a little bit of a crown. Okay, main screen, and hello everyone. Welcome to the ALCast, your favorite podcast where we talk about everything and nothing. I'm your host for this week. My name is Allan, and that's
Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Nathan.
Hey, I'm Justin.
excellent intro, guys. Way to go.
We should go with opening, say what the topic's going to be, and then do introductions.
Duly noted. Also, Christopher, at the right angle, your drink actually turns to your background. Move it a little. There it is. When it was a little lower, it actually looked like just the drink was part of the background. That was pretty cool. Well, this week we're going to talk about my topic, and my topic is video games. Ooh. So two main things I wanted to sort of chat about with video games. One is, I guess it would be like video games themselves, and then one would be like video game industry. And I know Christopher should have plenty to say on the topics, maybe. Some of our viewers may not know. Yes, sir.
Why don't you explain to the listener what a video game is?
Sure. I would define video game as an interactive medium using computer software. There's different types of interactive mediums. I would say ones that are digital and software based are video games.
I think that.
So this sort of came up. It's sort of been in the back of my mind for a couple weeks. I got a new job and I'm in a weird transition where it's like waiting for a start date, finished up my other job, and I had like nothing to do for a couple weeks. So I was like, all right, I'm going to play some games. And I was just like, there's just fucking nothing I want to play. Everything is from either, companies I don't purchase from anymore, or things with shit reviews, or things that are early access. And those are all things I try and generally stay away from. As much as early access, these games are effectively like soft releases. I still do prefer to wait for the full release. Maybe a quirk of mine. I don't know.
I think that's fair. I think there's something to be said about the change to an early access model. Like this is something that came up in the past like 10 years, I think.
Something like that.
This like early access thing where people can, essentially it's playing a game while it's still in the development process. So while the game is still being created, it's getting to get in and play it. And a lot of times I think developers use it for quality control. Like a separate form of QA, you allow people to play the game, and then you get some real metrics about what's happening.
Yeah,
but I think it's totally fair.
Things like that.
Yeah, I think it's fair not to want to participate in that end of it and just want to see the final product.
Right. So usually we talk about like what we've been playing at the end of the podcast every other week or so, but I think maybe now it's a good time to start with that and then go from there. In my quest, I guess I'll start off. In my quest to finding like a good game to play, I noticed that Gearbox released Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which I mentioned I've been playing before, and that's always been a pretty solid franchise I picked up from a relatively small studio. They're pretty big now, but compared to other studios with like heaps of IPs, I'd say they're still relatively small. Pretty consistent, fun, kind of repetitive, both in like the games, both in the gameplay and like each successive iteration of Borderlands is always more or less the same. Start at level 1, get to level 40 or 50, pick up some items and stuff along the way. But I kind of like those games. It hit, like I was looking for a Diablo type game, and I tried Path of Exile, and it was fucking boring. And it was boring, Justin. It was boring.
Correct. No, you're right. You're right.
Wrong.
It's boring. It's a boring ass game. It's a
Incorrect.
boring ass game for boring people.
It's like I don't know. I started playing it and I was like, and you look at the talent tree and I was like, all right, this is like, it's like EVE Online. Like if I want to sit down and look at spreadsheets and crunch numbers to figure out like talent trees and all this sort of shit, it's just boring. It's just boring. I just want to go and hit things. I couldn't even go and hit things. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I could maybe hit things in 50 hours, but until
Yeah, I get that. I'll just say it's okay to have bad opinions.
that's
You're right, Justin.
Yeah.
It is okay to have bad opinions. So what are you looking for in those Diablo games? Are you just looking for like a looter brawler, like something that you can just go and kill a bunch of enemies and get some loot?
I think it's fun to have like. So for Diablo almost hit that rating niche that I was looking for. You get a group with 4 people, you go into like a really, really hard Greater Rift, and like the last time I played it, usually have like in Diablo it's just like everyone goes DPS, you just fucking like burn through everything. But in the last couple seasons I played, which is I think over 2 years ago now, so things might be very different. Like you legit needed like monk tanks and like you'd have like crusaders and shit like rounding everybody up, bringing everyone into like the center. Then you have like one DPS person just like shredding everything. So that's kind of fun. I do miss raiding, but it's like MMOs are not the best for me because I spend too much time in them and then get burned out, and then sort of go through that cycle. So something that hits that feeling, I guess, of like MMO rating without necessarily being a time sink was what I wanted. Ironically, I'm playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland alone, but it seems more story driven as you're playing through your first character, so that's not that big of a deal. But that was kind of what I was looking for. And in addition to that, I've been emulating on the Steam Deck and playing through Final Fantasy IV, which has hit my like turn-based RPG thing that I've been looking for as well. So just I guess I'm just going for specific genres right now, because I play FPS every now and then in PUBG, and between FPS, RPG, and like action shootery stuff, that's sort of all I want out of gaming, at least right now. So I'm wondering what you guys are playing right now, if there's anything you're looking for that you can't find. And then I'll have some follow-ups.
Pick somebody.
All right, Nate, go ahead. I'll go and order my screen.
So I guess the only game I've actually played recently is the Final Fantasy VII remake with Yuffie. But yeah, there's some games I have been like thinking about. Like I'm kind of excited about the Frost Giant RTS. Is that the name of the studio? I think so. It's like a bunch of Blizzard developers, and I think it's like actually a bunch of StarCraft 2 developers more so.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of exciting because like you just see like there's some chunk of like the StarCraft 2 like pro community that I follow in various places, and I've seen some like buzz about that pop up. Kind of makes me wonder,
Nate. So it looks like they're from CNC Generals 2, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, co-founder of Day 9 TV, Diablo 4, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3. Yeah, so lots of ex-Blizzard people. Go ahead.
Oh, this group just had a trailer at E3 or Summer Game Fest this year for that game, Stormgate. It was a cinematic trailer. It was not very good. Not very exemplary of what the actual game is. It's just like a cinematic trailer that kind of tries to build the world and really doesn't do much of anything. But it looks like, I mean, that says nothing about the actual gameplay, especially if it's an RTS.
to be honest, like it's so hard to beat StarCraft in terms of like the world, in terms of the story, and maybe there's a big nostalgia factor there too. And so I saw this movie that was like robots versus like demons or something. I didn't find that concept to be that exciting, but I know like if they have a good engine, if they have like really, if they just get enough people playing it and they have some sort of like custom game thing, because this is like the group of devs that have been doing that custom game thing for a while, and like people might not realize it, but like a lot of the innovation in games period has actually come from like Warcraft and StarCraft, like well, mainly Warcraft 3 actually. That's the main one. But so mainly Warcraft 3 custom games, just like a lot of genres of games were like invented there, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it'd be really cool to have something like that happen again. It would be cool to have like a bunch of the pro players. I do just watch RTS, so like on YouTube or Twitch sometimes. Like if there's if there's a StarCraft 2 tournament on, I'll watch. Or if like Artosis or Tasteless is streaming or something, I don't watch the pro players if they're streaming, but I do watch if it's like some casters that I like.
Some caster you like. I wonder if there's room in games right now for that, to create a space where. Sorry, I'm hearing myself in Allan's stream.
Sorry,
Or Allan's recording. I wonder if there's still a place like that, because I feel like when StarCraft custom map games or like Warcraft 3 custom map games came out, it was the first time that people got their hands on these developer tools and were able to actually create something that they could easily put out to a wider audience. And now we have games like Fortnite that also have these custom games, like these creator tools that you can go into the engine and just like build an entire island for yourself and set up like scripting and stuff to actually create a game in there. But these tools like Unreal and Unity are so widely available. Like you can get Unreal 5 free right now and just download it and start creating your game. Do we need those spaces for like smaller custom stuff to generate these new ideas? Or is it something that we're just going to see because the industry is like that much more accessible now?
I think it's going to meet in the middle. I think eventually you're probably going to get some sort of Unreal Engine game that is going to have the powerful custom game thing, and then like that actually you might see like a lot more people using that, because I don't know, there's when you actually get to like the serious like tooling, like there's just a bunch of it's really difficult to optimize like end to end, like the whole process of publishing something. Like there's just all these different layers, all these different like interested parties and like requirements. But if you can do everything in like the same, inside the same thing, right? So it's like, well, I guess Warcraft 3, you'll have your map editor, and then you have to like launch the game and publish it there. So that's like two things, I guess.
Yeah, but it was very easy. They were like two systems that worked very well together.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for creativity within restrictions. So like with Unity or something, you could do whatever you want. Like the whole world is open. You can create your own assets. You can do everything, and that can be kind of overwhelming. Whereas if you're just making a game in Warcraft 3, here are the models you have. Here are the buildings you have. This is what you can do in the engine. Have fun. Like you can only work within that, and
The constraints are there.
yeah. Like you know like what you can do, and like there's kind of a smaller pool of it, so you can. It's a little easier to pick.
And
Like, if you go to the grocery store where like there's like 20 different types of spaghetti sauce, it's way harder to pick than if there's like 2 kinds of spaghetti sauce, right?
But
is
is that going to allow for stuff like League of Legends and Dota would not exist if those custom games weren't created in Warcraft 3? Are we going to see a game type that only exists because somebody created a custom game in Fortnite and then that became big, so they created a game based on it? Or have we missed that point? People who are going to be creating those things are already doing it in Engine or in Unity.
I think a lot of those things come from like one person, right? Like the guy who made Dota was like one person, and then someone else like picked up his shit and then like continued to improve upon it, and so on and so forth. If you're trying to make a whole ass game, that's really hard as one person. I think there's still going to be room for like custom games to be created and then branch out over time.
How did wasn't Vampire Survivors one person?
Yeah, but I mean,
There's a lot of games now that get made by one person.
Is that or I want to say, is that a novel genre? Because I know there's like those kinds of like side-scrolly shooter stuff, but I don't know if there's anything quite like. At least I don't recall anything quite like Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a jam between like bullet hell and like roguelike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
I
like
don't
an
know
open
if
world
anyone's
shmup.
made one of those that's been popular, but I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that the tools will get better though. So like at some point you're gonna get something that's like sufficiently in the middle that
Well,
it'll just bridge the two things. But I don't know which way it's gonna come from. Like
Unreal 5
maybe
is
they.
insane right now. Like with
Mhm.
Unreal 5, we could launch it right now and they have like a template player, a template car, a template city. So right now we can make like a driving sim in a city in like probably less than 30 clicks.
Yeah. And the asset store is huge. And a big thing about Unreal 5, sorry if this is getting too boring, like in industry stuff. A big thing about Unreal 5 is that they're a lot of it is being geared towards making it cross transferable. So any assets you've created in Unreal 4, you can transfer them to Unreal 5 and then continue to use those assets, which is fucking huge. Especially in areas like this, like where you have a huge store that has a lot of temp assets, a lot of things that you can use as plugin to just like throw together a quick game, and then being able to port that over into a whole new engine with Unreal 5 is pretty insane.
I have got this vibe that like at Unity at like the senior leadership in Unity they're just in panic mode. I feel like I've just gotten this like it's like they're like cutting programs, they're like firing people, they're doing these weird acquisitions. I don't know if you guys have heard.
Yeah.
Good.
There was a recent tweet by I think it was the CEO of Unity that basically was saying if you're like, because they're moving into microtransactions as part of like Unity, and it was like if you're not looking to try to make revenue from your product, then you're doing it wrong or something like that. Basically saying like
You're not trying to monetize your compulsion loops or something like that.
yeah, something ridiculous that was essentially like if you're not trying to make as much money as possible on the thing that you have, you're doing it incorrectly. And man, what a hot take.
Yeah, I feel you, Nate. I think it's a good point about being excited to see what comes out of, I guess, effectively the modding community for a game. I don't know. Is that the only reason you're looking forward to the thing? Because it's like a potential platform for like random stuff.
Well, I think mostly it's just that the StarCraft 2 like so I did play StarCraft 2 and I did like kind of sort of try to play it competitively. I was never really super good at it. But I always thought that it had just a very like of all the competitive games like it just had it had one of the communities that didn't well, so for any kind of competitive gaming community, I don't know if I realistically want to say it's a good community, right? But
Sure.
I think maybe least it had like the least bad community. What made it different from other gaming communities was like good, basically. Like every competitive gaming community is going to have some sort of toxic element, but like if you're just looking at the differences between communities, it seems like the StarCraft 2 one like was one of the better, like in terms of just like the vibe and like you got like Day 9 and you got like Tastosis. You just got like it's just in a way it's like very wholesome. I feel
Sure.
like compared to some other games.
Other than like the pedo stuff, wasn't the Smash competitive scene pretty wholesome as well?
Toxicity. One of the fighting game scenes are incredibly toxic.
Maybe Melee. I don't know if you could say the same thing about Ultimate.
There's something special about the Melee scene too, or about the Smash scene too. But I wouldn't say it's like the absence of toxicity. Maybe there's a certain style, there's a certain flair to like how they're toxic in that scene that's like not as offensive. Like it's like they actually have to be in the same room and then they're toxic to each other. And there's, but the thing is it's the same way in like the CS. Sorry, not CS. Call of Duty. But for those guys, it's just full on rage. It's just full on blind white light rage, like or something like. Well, that was awkward to say. What was I even trying to say? Like a burning light of rage. I don't know, but
Nate, I don't think we ever know what you're trying to say.
hopefully somebody does. No, but have you seen these videos of like these like Call of Duty tournaments where like it's just these like it's just like the guy screaming on Xbox Live and you just get a bunch of them in the same room and it's like just as bad. They don't they don't manage to like relate to each other.
Have you seen these
at all.
videos from like Smash tournaments where the same
No,
people are
like
throwing crabs at the people on stage?
Okay, that one. I felt, yeah, for Hungry Bucks. I don't know, but like, a guy like
I mean,
Hungry
he's turned
Bucks.
into a meme. Like, I think it was helpful to his career ultimately.
Oh my god.
Just saying.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure if it was Call of Duty, that whole situation would have been worse.
Probably.
Like the crowd would have been holding a knife.
Oh, a knife on stage.
There would have been like a knife taped to the crab.
True, true. What about you, Christopher? What have you been?
I wanted.
Yes, sir.
This list is going to be way too long. I can go last. I wanted to talk, Nate, about the one developer thing because I played a game recently that I think that you would really like, and I'm pretty sure it's by one developer. It's by a studio called Zachtronics, which is essentially like this one guy who creates a bunch of games. But the game is called Last Call BBS. It just came out recently, but it's like it is one of those like weird simulator games. So it simulates a old computer, like this fake old computer, and you log into it like it's, you know, the 1990s or something, and then you start like messing around in the computer, and it has all these kinds of games that you can like find and play in them. Most of them are like puzzle based or like code based scripting games where you have like there's one where you have to create a conveyor belt for a like a food vending company, and so you're creating this conveyor belt that like or adds together different items in order to create different dishes, and then it all has to be an automated process. But you should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
I think it's actually made by so Zachtronics also made Space Chem
Oh yeah.
and Infinifactory. But yeah, I played this one for a little while. I streamed it the other day, and it's super neat. There's like a lot of really cool, weird shit in it. There's one game that's just a mini painting game. You like put together and paint Gundam models, just like in the game.
So I actually tuned in to your stream for a minute, and I wonder if you were playing this. It was a game where it was like a blob of meat. You had to like grow a blob of meat or something.
Yeah, that's one of the games. Yeah, you have to. You're like in charge of creating these like organic creatures, and you have to do it by like telling their cells what to do in like a DNA strand, and then that, you know, whatever you put into that like DNA strand compiles into this creature. Yeah, that's one of the later games that you can download from it. It's fucking weird and cool as shit.
Yeah, it definitely had like an Oddworld vibe to it, which is
Yeah.
a very, very interesting like vibe, I think, to have in a game.
But yeah, I've been digging that for a little while. The puzzles are nice to come back to because there's so fucking many of them to do, and they're nice. There's one game that's like a dungeon. It's like reverse Minesweeper. You're trying to create walls for a dungeon based on rules on what's in the dungeon. So it's just like a Minesweeper map with a chest and like some creatures, and then you have to create the walls of the dungeon around these creatures to make like a complete dungeon. And then it's just a bunch of different puzzles like that. It's cool stuff.
So it's on Steam.
I played it on yeah, I think it's on Steam. Yeah, I played it on Game Pass.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Justin, what have you been playing?
So I finished Elden Ring. I got all the achievements.
Yay, Justin. Good job, buddy.
Yeah. What else have I been playing?
Destiny.
Persona 3 portable in the background. I've mostly been trying to find another game to play. Somehow in the 400 hours of Skyrim that I've played, I have never touched any of the DLC, so I might get around to that. Otherwise, I'm mostly just looking for something new to play.
What are you looking for?
I don't know yet. Like, I feel like I want a chill game that I can just chill with, that's not too intense. But at the same time, I want something that's like somewhat graphically intensive because I just got a 3080. And I want to like stress it out a little bit. But yeah, otherwise, I don't really know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm just kind of waiting for like the mood to strike me about it a little bit.
Interesting.
How about you, Chris? What are you playing?
Recently, I just started playing Dragon Ball Kakarot. It's like an open world Dragon Ball RPG. It's kind of cool. You play through the just like regular story of Dragon Ball Z. I think they have some Dragon Ball Super stuff in there. But the combat's fun. It's an open world where you get to just fly around as Goku and like collect stuff and fight people. So it's been fun. But I don't know. For a $60 game, it seems like a little bit ridiculous.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't know.
Did you actually purchase it for $60?
No. I got it on sale on the Steam Pass.
Yeah.
there's like this thing with JRPGs where it's systems on top of systems on top of systems. And I know some people really like that. I just don't want to engage in it at all in RPGs. So like having to give gifts to people in order to increase your friendship score with them so that you can get like bonuses in some other area, or like there's one part that are like these community boards where you put people together to create relationships, and then that gives you increases in like different areas. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, and it's all over this game.
Sorry, which game was it?
Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Oh, okay.
It's just a Dragon Ball Z game about Goku.
So
trying to get caught up on Destiny 2.
It's a role-playing
sorry,
game. So like you're going in there and you're pressing buttons to fight, or like you're picking actions and he's doing it, or
No. It's action based. So you are like fighting. Like you are actually fighting like in real time.
Gotcha.
There's like a dodge button. There's a block button. Like
when
you get into a fight with somebody, it goes into more of like a traditional
like a combat phase?
fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then outside of that, there's leveling up, there's gear, there's like purchasing items and stuff, and unlocking side quests, all this kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So like a full-on RPG.
Speaking of JRPGs, I recently learned that the Mario RPG in the 90s was actually made by Square.
Yeah.
It's actually a very good game. If you haven't played it, you should just throw it out there.
It is one of my favorite games of all time. I play it usually once every year.
Damn, once a year?
Yeah. I love it, dude. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I think
it's a good ass RPG.
So I have heard lots of people say that it is very good, but I actually haven't gotten much in the way of details as to why. Because for me, like Square, I associated it with like these like very visually interesting like fantasies and sci-fis and stuff, and I've never really had. I don't have any such connection to like the Mario like
it's
image
mythos.
Yeah,
it's a very, very Square. So back then, SquareSoft is a very, very SquareSoft game. Once you get into it, with just like a Mario skin on it. But the story's cool. The characters are cool. There's some very, very, very cool characters that have been like in IP hell, kind of stuck in Super Mario RPG because of like the weird SquareSoft turned to Square Enix, and then like Nintendo says I own this, they say I own that, and just getting like a couple people into Super Smash as like trophy characters was a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's definitely been a pretty big licensing hell.
Yeah.
So did that successfully happen, or was the licensing hell something that prevented that from happening?
There's never been a sequel, I think, because of that.
Right.
Because of that licensing hell.
And I think they're both companies are now too big. I would say they're both too big to want to like work together on something. Because Switch.
I don't know.
Well, Nintendo would want it exclusive on the Switch, and I don't know if SquareSoft or Square Enix would want to do that.
What about Mario plus Rabbids? That thing has done gangbusters numbers.
I guess that's true. And I know there's like Kingdom Hearts, which is like Square Enix, and fucking Disney, which is like fucking Daddy
Which is
Mouse.
so weird that they allow that.
Yeah, Daddy Mouse giving the reins to someone else. That's crazy.
I'm sure that's the first thing that happened when they bought like yeah. Man, Disney Square together is insane.
Yeah, they had to censor the keychain on the Keyblade, right? Because it's a mouse pad.
Oh, maybe is it really?
I think they did.
What do you mean? Had to censor it where?
So like, there's a little keychain that hangs off the back of the Keyblade that has like a little like Mickey Mouse on it, and I don't think that's there in the Smash version.
Oh, in Smash, that's super interesting. I wonder because a lot of Sora's characteristics and like weapons and stuff are very focused on Disney property, and you're not bringing that over into Smash.
What's crazy is that Mickey Mouse is going to be public domain soon. So that'll just be like... I don't think there's ever been a more locked down IP that's gone to public domain.
So not Mickey Mouse. Well, not like Mr. Mouse Mickey Mouse, but it will be Steampunk Willie Mickey Mouse. I think we talked about this slightly before. Did we talk about the whole Winnie Pooh thing together, or was that with someone else?
No.
What?
So Winnie the Pooh is also in the public domain now, I think, as of earlier this year. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, there's a ton of like weird horror movies and stuff that are coming
Yeah.
out in the next year and a half that are all based around Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Because it just went into public domain. It's so fucking weird.
So you have to remember that like what's in public domain are like the first instances of these characters. So Steampunk Willie, Black and White Mickey Mouse, No Noise, like Whistling Away, will be going to public domain. Like White Glove, Red Short, Mickey Mouse with like that what's it called? That voice, and like that look, and Minnie Mouse and all that sort of stuff. None of that is going to go into public domain. So there'd be a very, very sort of narrow use case you could do with.
Well, I think if
Mickey
even
Mouse.
even if the first instance of it is public domain, I think their lawyers are going to have a much harder time because they've been kind of trekking the world suing people for Mickey Mouse like for years, right? And I think if any kind of Mickey Mouse is public domain, I think all of those lawsuits are going to be harder because you have to explain the difference to a judge.
I don't
And,
think,
like-
as far as I know, I don't think people are suing over Mickey Mouse. I think it's every time Mickey Mouse is about to go into public domain, that's when they push to extend the copyright.
Oh, I heard that Disney was actually famous for this, for like kind of sending people around to like, well, if say there's some like daycare center, they've got Mickey Mouse on the wall, they're like putting that in their like advertisement or something, bam, like crushed by Disney. Like I've heard they've just been going
Interesting.
around like really enforcing a lot of this stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised because they used to, I don't know if they still do, they used to sue restaurant chains for singing Happy Birthday because that song is copywritten by Disney. And that's why all the different restaurant chains have all these fucking stupid birthday songs.
Yeah, a weird ass birthday.
Yeah. Birthday songs public domain now, right?
I think so as of like 2 years ago, but I'm not 100%. I don't know how we got on this topic.
It's interesting.
Because we're
that it's,
talking
like,
about Super Mario
yes.
RPG.
Super Mario RPG. Nate, play Super Mario RPG. It's honestly fantastic. I think it's kind of hard to play right now. Just I don't know where you can get it. I think they got removed from the digital store.
You can emulate it pretty easily.
You can emulate it pretty easily if you're okay downloading illegal ROMs.
If you have a SNES Mini, it's on that.
But it is like 100 years though, right, for the public domain?
Something
95
like
years.
yeah, something like death plus 95 years, I think.
Oh, is it Death plus 95?
I believe
'Cause
so.
I've got a very tangential story that I might as well tell. on
Wait,
this
wait.
podcast.
I think it's weird. I think it's either like death plus 70 or like 95 years total, something like that.
It seems like there was just a bunch of stuff going on 100 years ago, and now it's like it's like there's a bunch of stuff going on 100 years ago, and we're getting to the point where a lot of that stuff is available. Like
Yeah.
I heard there's this town in New York where when they first were installing the gas lights, the gas company was like, "Hey, we'll install your lights." It was like as a promotion or something, and we'll give you free gas for your lights for 100 years. And in that town, they just had these like nice gas lights in the city center for as long as anyone could remember. And then like 100 years later, it was like 2015, and they just started getting a gas bill like after 100 years from the gas company. Like,
That's cool that it actually got enforced.
Yeah, good for them.
Someone
yeah.
was literally paid like in the past like 3 years, just like as soon as this is up, you're sending them a bill.
Well, I mean, they must have moved over to like digital at some point, and someone fucking killed it with the records.
Yeah, good job.
I guess the 1920s was big for everything. Maybe that's when we first started putting pen to paper.
Maybe
Yeah, copyright apparently is life plus 70 years.
life plus 70. Gotcha. I knew 70 was part of it. But yeah, so one of the reasons I did want to talk about gaming and stuff is it seems that, at least from my perspective of like not buying and playing everything anymore, like I used to just fucking like pre-order everything, collector's editions, buy it all, and just like I'll play it when I get to it. But recently, man, it's been like
How many of those things have you actually played, percentage-wise?
Played through, not everything. Played at least a bit, probably around half. Not even opened a couple. I have Fallout 4 Pip-Boy edition unopened.
You might as well just put that in the garbage. Just kidding. Look, I got my Pip-Boy right there. Can't see it.
Yeah, it's on top of that mountain back there.
Yeah.
It's on top of one of the mountains.
But yeah, it seems like in the past decade, it's been getting worse and worse. But just like, you know, people releasing stuff incomplete, buggy as hell, like backlash after backlash. And just like, I don't know, man, it just dissuades me from buying anything. Like I was ready, had like, you know, pandemic stuff aside, I had like a whole new computer, like on PC part picker, ready to go. I was like, all right, Cyberpunk's coming out. The shit looks the tits. I can't wait for it to come out. Like, I'm gonna wait 1 week after reviews, and then I'm gonna order a PC and then like get everything. We'll be good to go. The reviews came out, garbage. Like, for everyone just shitting on it. It's like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. They tried to do this, but it doesn't work. I think CD Projekt Red stock is down like 30-40% since the release of Cyberpunk.
It was a big scandal for a while.
Yeah, and that's not even
I mean,
unique.
It's still like kind of it. You're right. It's not unique. But I do think I don't know. I think Cyberpunk might have been the worst instance of it. Of this kind of just blatant like
it wasn't even the worst.
No, this game is not even close to what we expected.
What about No Man's Sky? Wait.
No Man's Sky. First
No
of all.
Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. Yeah.
Second of all, No Man's Sky was a huge letdown, but Cyberpunk was hype as shit. Like, the amount of hype that followed Cyberpunk was insane. The amount of pre-orders, the amount of money that went into that game even before it launched was like fucking crazy, even compared to No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky, to its credit, has kept up on all of the promises that it made at launch and more, with free expansions and free like content over the past like 5 years. The game is fucking unrecognizable now.
Right.
It's like a whole different thing, and it's crazy. I played that for a little bit. It's a cool VR game too, Justin.
Yeah. I bought No Man's Sky Special Collector's Edition at launch.
That's what you get, dog.
Don't pre-order shit. Don't pre-order shit.
I think
that's why I'm really glad that like a lot of studios are doing. Sorry, I'm fucking dancing all over your topic. I think it's cool that a lot of studios recently have moved into the collector's edition or special edition separate from the game thing for this exact reason. If you're like, hey, that looks cool, I want like the fucking God of War collector's edition that just got announced recently. Like, if you're like, that looks cool, that Mjolnir looks fucking dope, I want that, or those dice look awesome and I want this collector's edition, you could buy it without having to buy the game. And then later, you know, if the game is shit and you don't want to buy it, then don't buy it.
Sure. Which, by the way, I was on fucking 10 o'clock. I was refreshing 2 phones and sold out instantly. But see, that's the thing. Like to me, I generally don't pre-order stuff anymore. I can't even remember the last thing I pre-ordered. It might have been like God of War 4 Stonemason Edition. Because I felt like that Santa Monica studio is something is a person I at least could trust. Like if they fuck up like one more time, I don't think they ever fucked up. But if they fuck up once, fine, I'll eat the burn. But until they fuck up, I can keep like sort of trusting them and like pre-ordering from them. Fine. Them and like Square in terms of Final Fantasy stuff has been pretty consistent. They have a few bumps in the road as well. But they're pretty consistent. And some of the games I understand, like a lot of people didn't like Final Fantasy 13. I thought it was fine. I didn't like the story, but I actually like the gameplay.
That's not like 4 games, didn't it?
Huh?
You're like driving around in that car.
That's 15. 13 is with Lightning.
13's with Lightning. 13-2 is with her sister, which I bought the collector's edition for, and that game was garbage.
I don't know anything about this game. I don't know. When you say Lightning, I just think weather.
Lightning was she was the
main character.
The cool protagonist with like I think the short, dirty blonde hair and that lightning sword.
Pink.
Was it pink? Oh, pink.
I think she had pink hair, short pink hair. Yeah, I can't tell you anything else about that game apart from Lightning, and one of the characters was a black man with a big afro that a chocobo hid inside.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I remember about that game.
But yeah, man, like just shit's coming out broken. And Another bad one was fucking Battlefield. Like Battlefield was on sale. It was like $59.99 on sale for $5 like a month after it came out.
2042.
Yeah, whichever the newest one, that was fucking garbage. Halo Infinite, like multiplayer, completely broken. I mean, it's just like these are ginormous studios with, I like to think in terms of like game development, as close to infinite money as you can have for game development. Like Microsoft will throw. Microsoft, I guarantee you, has a blank check for Halo development, 1,000%.
But so really the problem here is that like when software projects get bigger, they also get harder.
So I was gonna say
People claim that games are easier to make than ever, and it is so unfucking true. It is easier to have the ability to make a game. Games are harder to make than they've ever been.
I mean, I think it's like it's as you scale and things get complicated, like it's just becomes such a beast that like one little thing could fuck up everything, and it might be impossible to like find that one little thing.
Because anytime an organization that's making software gets bigger, the amount of overhead increases, the amount of effective work every person decreases, and then like that just happens every time the institution gets bigger, and you're really stuck in this vicious cycle where like you want to add more people to a project, and then you like add a new layer of organization, everybody gets less efficient, and like it's not even clear that it works to make these projects bigger. Like that's really just the problem. Like I wonder if at some point, like, because software is getting better, the tools are getting better, and I wonder if software is just going to keep on getting better until you get to the point where like everything's just going to be like single person projects that just know the right tools to use or something like that.
I think something could be said for collaboration. Collaboration is like a big part of both software development and game development, and I think it's super important. Like these one vision games are great. They're cool to have like one person say this is what my particular vision is for this thing and then execute it entirely. But it's just not feasible on like even medium scale projects.
Sure. So
yeah,
do you guys think that, I don't know, not that games should be simplified, but I think there needs to be some sort of way to balance complexity and like shipping broken stuff versus enjoyment of, I guess, smaller projects.
I think there probably are a few different sweet spots in terms of like team size that work. Mm-hmm. And the easiest one to get the easiest sweet spot to find is one, because it's just the simplest one. But it's true that very one person's time is a big constraint, and there's other sweet spots you can get a team into as well, but it's just harder to find the groove, I think, like what those are. And then like the huge projects that just keep on getting bigger and bigger, like it's just not one of the sweet spots.
Sure.
stuff's gonna come out broken.
I think you can make that stuff work, but I think you need very good management practices. Everybody like looks at management as, or I feel like a lot of people look at management as kind of wasted space, but I think that's exactly what you need to make these bigger projects work, is that you need more management people. You need to hire more producers and more like project managers in order to make these projects work, because the philosophy is you allow the people that do the work, like the good coders, the good engineers, the good artists, to just do the work, like to just do their thing and not have to worry about the overhead, not have to worry about that other part. So like a good management system should come in between those people, like between the artist and the director who's asking for the art, and become like a shield for both sides. It's like the good management system makes these larger projects more feasible.
Sure.
Right.
Still fucking hard as shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they need to be doing the right thing though. It's not like, it's not going to make it better by throwing more people at it. But if those people are doing the right thing, that could definitely be like the critical piece.
Something
of it.
I've seen a lot of in just jobs that I've been in is that it seems like a lot of people or a lot of places will just promote people based on performance. Mm-hmm. You're doing a really good job, so we're going to promote you up. And then promoting someone up means giving them more responsibility or putting a person under them. And most people just don't want to and aren't capable of that. Like, in order to be a manager, you have to have a base set of social skills. And if you're just promoting people based on performance or based on like just you've been here for a while or whatever, you're a manager now, that's where you get the problem with like terrible management.
Well, I think I guess wow, we're talking about like corporate infrastructure or corporate structure now, but so the way it's been in tech for a long time, it's like you'll have engineers and they do get promoted to management because management is just the next thing. But I think what's being emulated more now, like what was maybe an innovation of like Silicon Valley at one point, and now everything they're doing is kind of getting farmed out sooner or later. They just have a separate track. They have a technical track where you'll get promoted, but you're still like the code like person like in your like cube, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to manage people.
You don't really have technical people moving up into management necessarily. You have technical people moving up into tech leads. And then they can like kind of oversee like juniors and like make them do other shit. I think if you want to look at how to do big games well, I think you need to look at the successes. And I think there's like been one game that's like lived up to the hype recently, and that's motherfucking Elden Ring, baby. Elden Ring. That game is like 7 remake is pretty good. From what I hear anyway. But Elden Ring, I think, had every reason to fuck up. Like big open world, all kinds of shit they haven't done before. Like you got George R. R. Martin involved, and he might fuck shit up. Who knows? But that game is like nearly perfect. Like it is actually an amazing game. Like in From Software games, there's usually like one area that's like fucked, that's like rushed and it's bullshit. I don't think Elden Ring has that anywhere, and that's kind of crazy to me.
I think you just need to give people more time to make games. I think that solves a lot of these problems too.
How long was Elden Ring in development?
Elden Ring was announced in Elden Ring was announced in like 2015.
2019 E3 announcement, which means
like
it was
4 years.
probably in development.
That's the cinematic trailer though, right? That was like the first it was had been in development for a little while, and then 2019 was when they released the first trailer.
Work began on the game in early 2017 following the release of the Ring City for Dark Souls 3. So 2017, and it came out in 2022? So 5-year development cycle. Probably $150 million development.
Double it for marketing.
Maybe, yeah. But so like what went right in Elden Ring? Like I guess it did have a shitload of development time. They had a few delays.
Yeah, we should embrace delays.
They had like 10 years of developing Souls games.
Well, hold
and
on.
they had a lot of leftover ideas from that. They kind of shoved it into the game.
There's a lot of Elden Ring that is like built on other Souls games, and it's super, super apparent. Like they didn't have to come up with a combat system. They had to integrate jumping into a combat system. They didn't have to come up with like a leveling system. They just had to integrate like whatever the new ideas were. It's very much like built on all of these other games that they've worked on before, which is fucking awesome, incredible. Like there's so many great ideas from those games. Why not bring it into this place and make it into a bigger, wider game? But I think the 5-year development cycle. Also, I heard nothing about the development of Elden Ring while it was happening.
I don't remember honestly hearing much about it until about probably less than 6 months before it came out.
Yeah, I heard about it, and then I went media blackout like I do with all Souls games.
Yeah.
I want to know nothing about those fucking games before that I actually play them.
I will say though that a lot of the things that you guys are saying that Elden Ring did right, fucking Cyberpunk was right, doing the same shit, building upon Witcher 3, delaying the game when it needs to. Fucking integrating different stuff. It was possibly too ambitious. I think it might have wanted to do all that stuff and be like the best looking game that came out since fucking, what was it, Crisis? So I don't know.
I think there's just a certain style of video game promotion that just isn't healthy, where it just like I don't know, maybe. So my impression of like the Elden Ring like hype was that like it's going to be like a really good Souls game. That's the hype. But like the Cyberpunk hype was like this game is actually going to teleport you like out of your life into like.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point. I think Souls players were mega hype, and everyone else was like, Souls game. But then it came out, everyone played it, everyone's like, holy shit, this is a good fucking game. And then it kind of took off from there. I think you're right about fucking Cyberpunk. That had like lots of mainstream appeal that wouldn't have appealed to other people. I mean, that wouldn't have worked in other games necessarily. And I think it did kind of suffer from that.
So
I think
Honestly,
Elden Ring maybe have had that same level of hype. Maybe it would have been somewhat less successful. I don't know.
I haven't really bought into video game hype like fully ever since Halo 2. Like that was the last time I was like very, very bought into. And then I think what I realized playing Halo 2 is like there's basically like there's basically nothing that this game could have been like that would have lived up to the hype. Because like my life was like about to hype. I was like seventh grade or something. Like
Yeah. I mean, every day was like looking up new videos that they release of like some little snippet of like some little feature. I remember when Super Smash Brothers Brawl was coming out, and they had like at every day midnight, like in Japan, they had Japan time where they like released one little detail about the game, and that could be a stage, it could be a fucking item, it could be a piece of music, or it could be a whole new fucking character. And every day people would lose their shit like before it gets launched, and then they would like shit it out there, and then either people would blow up about it, or they would just be like like just disappointed.
yeah, but people are people are really paying attention to this stuff, and it's there's a hype issue, but on the other side, like people enjoy that though. Like I am kind of nostalgic about the Halo 2 hype. Like I wonder if there just was like a sweet spot where I could have just had the right context for how to understand like what that was.
sure.
Before cynicism set in.
I mean, but yeah, now and then I'm kind of hyped about some things. Like, there's some really good studios out there. Like I think it's Blackbird Interactive. They're the ones that have been doing like the they made Deserts of Karak, that new homeworld. Well, it's not even close to know at this point. They made a new game called Shipbreakers. Apparently, it's all completely original concept.
I have heard of that. Hard Space, right? Hard Space Shipbreakers or something. You like go and break down huge spaceships.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
it's like a simulator, like where it's like a job simulator. Like that's
Yeah, but your job is spaceship breaker downer.
But so it's tough for me though because that game was always supposed to be a homeworld game, but Gearbox didn't want to give them the IP for it, so they made an original one, and like that to me is like tough because I just love the homeworld IP would have made that like so awesome in my opinion. But so if I'm playing it, I'm just gonna be
Disappointed that it's not Homeworld.
well. I'll be living in my version of it that is homeworld.
Not to say this again, but it's on Game Pass, Nate. You can play that on your PC right now. It's Game Pass.
So part of the whole, I guess, search for like a good game to play and just like enjoying a hobby, because I mean for me this is, it's a pretty big hobby, and like that hits both like funness and hits like, oh, this is like culturally relevant to like a part of the culture I enjoy, with like characters and stories that I like to experience. Part of it though is that like as I said a couple times, there's like certain studios like I just don't really buy games from anymore, partly because like I've been bitten in the ass one too many times by them in terms of like poor game releases, and others just like bad business practice. It's just like I'd rather not give these people my money.
I'm curious.
Like I don't feel like you can trust Blizzard games anymore. It sucks.
I mean, between like between like the rape halls of Blizzard, like the fucking slot machines at EA, and it's just weird. Like, I don't know. People say vote with your wallet, and I was like, all right, so it's like, you know, my $59.99 might not make a dent for them, but you know, at least I know it'll go somewhere
Those are the
else.
two big ones, like on the shit list. I've known that EA has been bad for a long time. Like,
I haven't bought or played an EA game in at least 10 or 15 years. I can't think of a single one. I
just heard they had a sweatshop on QA, and that's what I heard. And
that's
Apex?
that's a lot of game studios. A lot of game. I haven't played Apex. Never played. Is that EA?
It's a
Yeah.
Titanfall property, and I think EA owns Titanfall. They own Respawn.
I haven't played Titanfall. Haven't played Apex. But I can't think. Like Ubisoft, I haven't played any Ubisoft games in at least a decade. Blizzard, I stopped playing Blizzard games the past couple of years, which was both a combination of fucking terrible experience in Battle for Azeroth and then just like fucking rapey scandals coming out.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Um,
I mean, a big part of the reason I probably won't get hype about Blizzard games again for a long time is because like I know a lot of their good people left because of that shit. Not even necessarily because of the thing itself, although I would say the thing itself as well. But like, you know,
Their releases over the past few years have been. I mean, like you could just look at the track record instead.
right.
Like even if you don't want to like all of the horrible shit that went on behind the scenes, like their track record has also been terrible. Warcraft 3 Reforged was
Warcraft
like
3 Reforged
a
was
total bomb.
completely outsourced, completely shit. Like I think there were mods for the original Warcraft 3 that made it look better than Warcraft 3 Reforged.
yeah. StarCraft 2, wasn't there a StarCraft remake, like original Brood War remake? I think
so.
that went pretty well. And then D2
Because they
Resurrected.
didn't touch it. They just like
Yeah.
re-released it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. But D2 Resurrected did pretty well. I don't think they fucked that one up. But yeah, like everything else they've touched is suck dick.
original Blizzard really was something special, though. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if Overwatch 2 is going to be okay or not. But who knows?
And like big companies, they're not like, you know, it's not like fucking it's not like Cosby, right? After like 50 years of like raping, like big company, like the executives go, new people come in, so it's like the scandals are bad, but they're like I wouldn't say fixable, but you can look past the scandals once new teams are in, because at that point they're just like a new set of people handling the IP. So
Yeah.
I think you can overlook scandals after a certain amount of time, but then you got to look back on the track record, and the track record has been shit
Well,
anyways, at least
right.
for
I
Blizzard.
mean,
But how
You have
would
to get
that
to
not
the point where
change
you-
too when new people come in? I mean, I think you should give the studio it's weird, right? Because yes, getting the people who created the scandals and the culture that allowed the scandals to happen out of the industry will be a good thing and will allow you to, you know, say, okay, I can try again with this company.
Mhm.
But I would think that the track record of games would be the same thing, because it is pulling people, getting people out of that industry who've created bad things
Sure.
or have done bad things, and then putting in new blood.
Sure.
I think there is something to the fact that corporate culture does kind of percolate down from like the senior like management, but it happens slowly. Like if a company gets a new CEO or the original CEO like gave it like an awesome culture, it'll take it a while for it to like flesh out, but I think it does eventually. And probably vice versa. Like if there's a bad culture and then you bring in like a new CEO that can really like put things on to bring things to a better place, it'll probably take a while to flesh.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, fucking Diablo Immortal, $200,000 to fully outfit a character.
Making millions a day, baby. Talk
I-
about vote with your wallet.
I can't
Everybody's
believe how
wallet
much
saying
money
yes.
I can't believe how much of that money is coming out of North America. Like
You thought it was straight China?
I thought it was straight China. Apparently, none of it's China. Like a lot of it, it's like I think it's like 60% North America, and then like 20% Japan and like 20% South Korea or some shit like that. Um,
Oh, we got some whales.
It's Elon
dog.
Musk.
We got some
It's
whales.
Elon Musk alone.
yeah.
Well, there was there's a guy who has like a YouTube channel with a 1 or 200,000 subscribers, and homie is like a whale in all these games. Like he'll open up like one video and he'll show us like Clash of Clans like fucking like wallet, and it's like the best items, just like scores of it. And then like his Diablo Immortal like character, I think had like 100 grand into it. He's like yeah, I got about like $107,000 into the game in Diablo game right now. It's like Jesus Christ.
People watch like content if there's just like big sums of money. It's like
Yeah.
like the Mr. Beast of like spending money on like bad games.
I mean, people watch Twitch streamers now who are literally just gambling. Like it's like 50K on a slot machine, and they pull, and then something happens or it doesn't. I kind of wonder about those big whales. Like how much of that is like content, and how much of that is like just straight addiction.
It's probably a really fuzzy line there.
Addiction to the content, probably.
I mean, yeah, okay. Like addiction to creating the content, or addiction to the like mobile game itself.
I think addiction to creating the content. I think.
You think so?
I think someone like Asmongold, I think he had like a bunch of streams spending like several thousands of dollars on Diablo Immortal. I think he did it for like his YouTube content. I think someone like Quinn69, who spent like $50,000 on Diablo Immortal, did it because he's addicted to fucking Diablo Immortal.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a fair assessment.
And
But what about the ones that aren't making content out of it?
they just like to push the shiny button. They just like pushing
Do
the
you think
shiny
that's
button.
it? Is the 60% that's coming out of North America just streamers who are
Maybe, dude.
making content,
no.
spending a ton of money on Diablo? That can't be true. That makes me sick.
No, if it's
I mean,
you
for
said-
them, it's an investment, right?
It is, because they're probably
Yeah.
making more money in that stream alone.
I don't know the metrics for streaming, but metrics for YouTube. Linus had a good video about how much his like best, like I think like top 10 videos made, and they range from like I think 15,000 to like 60 or 70,000. But there's a lot of like chunks to those metrics, and I don't think your average streamer, I don't even think your average content creator with like 1 or 2 million subscribers who does like video game content is gonna make that much money.
Well,
Did you see the Twitch leaks when they leaked the
I know-
actual
I know-
payouts for all the streamers, and they're like
Yeah.
in the hundreds of millions?
No. Like I think Asmongold was making like 2 million. Who's
But
the
it was like
fucking
months.
top guy?
It was like a month's range, not like a year.
Oh, was it a month? Jesus Christ.
but also, I mean, there's ways to monetize if you have an audience. There's ways to monetize the audience completely independent from like platform paying you.
That's true. That's true. But the platform paying you and like direct sponsorships are pretty guaranteed. Your audience doing shit for you, I think you can rely on it a little bit, but it's not like
Oh, I'm not talking about donations. I'm talking about like if you just have some sort of
Actual
business idea
sponsorships.
where
Yeah.
I think one thing people do is like they'll make a server, right? They'll make their
Right.
Minecraft server or
Right.
something, and then they're actually going to be providing some like service, like or
interesting.
something like that.
But yeah, man, that's like this is the kind of like internal, not turmoil, but sort of internal shit I've been dealing with in relation to a hobby I've enjoyed pretty much my entire life. Of not only what do I pick next, but like what can I pick next, and you know,
I have that internal turmoil with everything every single day of my life.
really.
There's so many like buying shit from Amazon is like bad, you know, because Amazon does real shit stuff both to its workers and
Sure.
to small businesses that attempt to use it as a platform.
Sure.
Like they're just notorious for doing these terrible things, but it's hard not to buy or not to like use those services because they are just like built into everyday life. And I think the same thing with like, you know, it's the same thing with any media with media creators too.
In the mailroom at my people just bring packages in, sort of like kind of dump them in this room, and it's definitely more than 50% of all the packages coming into the building are on.
Yeah,
it's pretty clearly like probably
Like-
even getting towards like 60 or 70%.
I've tried to reject Amazon before, and it's really hard. They just do it the best, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like between the selection, the prices and the like shipping time, like they just have it on lock, and I don't know, it's really hard to just get rid of it, even with other competing services like Walmart or Costco or like, you know, any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it's honestly the returns that's super pro. Fucking no questions asked. Doesn't matter. 60 days. Like, you threw it out the window. It came in shredded. Doesn't matter. Just fucking return it. Like, get some part of this thing back in this box, and they'll accept the return.
Yeah, you don't even have to mail it. You can like just take it to Kohl's. You don't even have to wrap it. Just like, hey, here's my thing, and they're like, all right, see you.
Yeah.
I know
Take it to
Kohl's
Kohl's
is
in
an
a bag.
option, but who takes it to fucking Kohl's, man?
Take it to Kohl's.
You guys take it to
Honestly,
Kohl's?
yeah, dude, I hate remailing it. Like, I have no
Who
idea where to
remails
bring
it?
it.
Amazon bought Kohl's.
Fuck that shit.
No, but they have a kiosk in most Kohl's that are Amazon return stations where you can like go. It's like a partnership or something. You can go in there and just give them the item and let them scan your code and
Yeah, Kohl's will
think
give you
it's
a
something similar
coupon
to
for it.
Kohl's.
So I was trying to start a logistics company a couple years ago. I wish I did, man. I probably would have fucking made a gazillion dollars during the pandemic. But it's really hard to start a logistics company, and B, like, we were crunching the numbers, and we were actually talking to a bunch of delivery drivers, like in DC. A lot of delivery drivers at the time, this must have been 2017, 2018. I don't think 2019, but somewhere around 2018. The dudes downtown in DC were telling us it's like a third Amazon, and then the good chunks of the rest are like Staples, Office Depot, Costco, just all that shit. I'm sure that's probably skewed a bit because it was like downtown DC, and there's a lot of office
so
buildings
delivering
there.
a lot of offices and yeah.
But they were telling me there was like a lot of like still a lot of like TJ Maxx and like weird department store like Walmart stuff coming in still, but it's still like at least a third was Amazon, even downtown in the city.
So I think you don't need to be hard on yourself, especially if there's like a specific thing that you want to, like, if Diablo Immortal appeals to you and you want to start playing Diablo Immortal, you know, fucking do whatever, man.
Yeah.
Just try to be good at other places.
No, like I get it. Like life's about a balance, and like, you know, you should enjoy what you can, as long as it's not to like, at least I think not to like the direct detriment of someone else. But everything you do is, you know, is I think a positive and a negative to probably unseen swaths of people in your life. So I don't think you can.
Have any of y'all seen The Good Place?
I've seen some of that. Yeah.
I've seen the
seen a
first
good
3
chunk of it.
seasons. Yeah.
You should. It's very good, but you should
I like
watch
it.
it. And a lot of the later seasons come. It's a lot about this. It's like, how do you be a good person in a world where like we have all these systems in place that just create bad behavior and like bad problems, but then at what point are you personally responsible for the problems that are happening and for what's going on? It's interesting.
I don't know. I think you're personally responsible when you pull the lever, like the old trolley problem. But then again, I usually
If you don't pull the lever and now 5 people are dead, you're not responsible.
I don't know. Well, actually, I usually don't pull the lever.
This is a whole new topic, but
We-
so I damn it.
Go
This is what I
on.
want to say about the trolley problem. So I just didn't like the trolley problem. Something about the trolley problem never sat well with me because it just seemed so contrived. And I was
What?
like, no, this isn't good. This is, but then somebody made the point to me that if you have a self-driving car, it's actually possible that it could get into an exact trolley problem situation. Like basically the exact same thing. And then
What
so
would
I
you
just
want
have
the car to
admit
do?
it. Like, it is actually just a completely valid moral problem to
Yeah.
I believe currently self-driving cars are programmed to protect the passengers over anything else. I think.
Yeah. It's weird because once we start relying more and more on computers, we're going to have to make those binary choices. If you get into a situation where people will be harmed outside of the car versus people being harmed inside of the car, you have to tell a computer to make a choice there.
Yeah, this is like we're past our 1 hour mark, and there's like more stuff I want to say about this. Maybe we should just.
This is next week. This is next week. We can talk about this all next week.
Yep.
Whatever next week's topic is will be related to this.
Guide in, whatever, dude.
But yeah, man. Any viewers, post some comments on the YouTube video, what you like to play, what you've been looking forward to, and what you want to see, man. Like, I want to see some cool shit too in the future. I'm glad Justin liked Elden Ring so much, but now he's empty and devoid of pleasure now that it's gone.
I might just go play Skyrim. Who knows?
I will say I'm a Microsoft shill, but you should get Game Pass. It's incredible value, especially if you have this problem of I don't know what to play next.
Sure.
It literally has like a random button, and you can just click it, and then it just randomly selects a game from you from the library. It's Netflix for video games. It's great.
All right, that random button does not work for me. I fucking hate that random button, dude. Like, everything that pops up on, I'm like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck that. I'm still back to the same situation.
Xbox Game Pass. This
It
is
told
your
me I should play House
opportunity.
Flipper.
This is the point where Xbox and Game Pass gives us sponsorship, gives us some codes to give out to our audience.
Oh, is it just on the Xbox, or can you do it on PC?
No, you can get it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it on cloud, dude. You can play it through a browser.
Nice. I actually might do that, so I don't have to use Windows.
All right then. Any other closing thoughts, guys?
Choose kindness. Be nice when you have to make choices. Support local and small over huge. Those are my closing thoughts.
Well said.
I don't have closing thoughts.
Excellent. All right then. With that, we've been the ALCast. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out next week where Justin talks about possibly the trolley problem, but probably something else.
He's like got it in the bag now.
Yeah, I don't have to think about it now.
this
We
week.
just talk about trolley problem. All right, cool.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye bye.